Hey, howdy, hey.
How's it going? Now, before we get started, there is somebody in the room that I have not seen for a very long time. And it wasn't too, I think I saw him on a show not too long ago. It was probably about a month and a half ago. But I have not seen this guy in ages. Ages. Eli. Oh my God. It's been a very long time since I've seen you. I hope you're doing well. Now, you were on a show, I want to say a month and a half ago, and it happened to be up on Parapost. I forget who was interviewing you. And I came in the room and I said hi, but I don't know if you saw it or not. But great to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. Now, if you don't know much about Eli had a very, life-changing experience. I believe he got, correct me if I'm wrong, Eli, I believe he got COVID and he actually died. And then obviously, came back, obviously. Because he's speaking to us right now.
Otherwise, the paranormal has learned to use StreamYard as a communication device.
Yes. And no, it's really good. And, I'll be honest, when I saw him on, and you know what? I really want to bring Eli on this show. I don't think we've ever had him on this show. And I would love to bring him on and talk about his experience of dying. And, who else has been through that too, that we know, is AJ.
Oh yeah, he has.
AJ's been through the same thing. You know what, Eli? I am going to contact you after the show through Twitter or X, and we'll set up a time where you can come on Through the Lens. And no, I've been on Eli's show a couple times, but he's never been on Through the Lens. So maybe it's time to bring him up.
Yeah,
so,
I completely agree.
I completely agree too. It did change your life. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too often where you can speak to somebody that's actually died and that's come back. I only know a few people, and that's Eli and AJ. I think there might be one other person I might know. I can't recall their name, but there is somebody else I know. Anyhow, how are you?
I'm doing very, very well, my friend. How are you?
Yeah.
What was that? Did you hear my voice go really gruffly then?
I'm doing good. I'm a little bit, I'll be honest, and I was telling Haleigh before you came into the back room, Lex, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed, to be honest. So much going on with the shows, with Global Ghost Hunt, to let everybody know, April 5th, which is, what's today's date? The 2nd or 3rd? Second. So we got 3 more days to sign up for the Global Ghost Hunt. If you are interested in signing up, we got quite a few teams. We got some new teams that are coming, that they're going to be part of the event, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. Okay, Eli, I will message you if we're still friends. If not, find me on Facebook under Bryan J. Laverty. As you can see in the, well, let me put this up. Which one am I going to put up? This one. Okay. Well, you can see my name underneath the my screen there, or my video or whatever, my live feed, Bryan-jon Laverty. But just punch in Bryan J. Laverty and you'll find me. So request me, and we'll get you set up for the show. But so I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed because of everything that's going on. And yes, I do have email, but we need to move on here, right? Or should I put in my email address quickly?
If you go to this stream on YouTube,
oh yeah, it's at the bottom.
The email's in the description.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, see?
Good thinking. Wow. Good thinking. Great thinking. Yeah. So So, like I'm saying for a third time, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed because this, when it gets around this time, especially for the Global Ghost Hunt, I feel a little overwhelmed because I know there's a lot to do, and especially with the scheduling.
Mm.
We're gonna be doing the schedule this weekend. Me and AJ are gonna be doing the schedule. So, and that's always very time consuming. But the great thing is, for this particular event, we're having a lot more recordings than we are lives. So it's going to be easy. It's going to be easier to organize. With the lives, it's a little different because you got to know the time zones. You got to know when they're investigating and what times they're, going to arrive, what time they're leaving, so there's a lot involved. I don't mind the recordings, to be honest, but the lives are good. The lives are good. The difference between the two is you don't have to worry about anything, any Wi-Fi or data or going out or anything like that. So when it's recorded, it's just straight. And all you have to worry about is your internet and making sure that your internet's staying up. Because lately my internet's been funky. I don't know why. But anyhow, other than that, so yeah, it gets a little bit overwhelming at this time of the year, and when October rolls around too for the Global Ghost Hunt. But other than that, everything seems to be okay. Your end?
Everything's going well on my side. Obviously, I'm still just working all the bloody time. Hopefully, time off soon. But no, everything's going all right my side, mate.
Yeah.
Except for the weather, but
yeah. So Haleigh, who's coming up on the show today, when I messaged you last week, because it was very tough to kind of set a time with Haleigh. Well, not tough, but it was because Haleigh works during the day and we start at 4 here, and I think she's an hour behind us or behind me. So she'd be 6 hours behind you, I guess that would make sense, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So, so it was a little bit difficult. And when I asked you if you can go on a little bit later, I was concerned because I wasn't sure if you're going to be working the next day and you had to be up early or something like that. So,
and I've got to get up at 8 in the morning tomorrow, 8:30, but that's fine.
Oh, okay. So you'll get 8 hours.
I'm up late all the time anyway.
There you go. So Haleigh, hey Nicole, how are you? So Haleigh Overseth is somebody I met through LinkedIn.
Nice.
Funny enough, I saw that she was doing a podcast, and I watched some of her episodes, and I really enjoyed what she did or what she was doing. And so I messaged her and asked her if she would be interested in bringing her vodcast. Brian, I looked up in her Twitter. There was a female ad. Your pick. No, I don't think so. Look me up on Facebook. I'm not talking about Twitter. I'm talking about Facebook. Brian J. Laverty on Facebook. So, so we got talking, and I was really interested in bringing her over to Parapost Network Central. So we talked for a little bit. We had a few meetings, and she decided to bring her podcast over to the page. Now, my only struggle with her is that she doesn't post enough.
We'll get to the bottom of that.
No, but I'm just kidding. I understand she's working, and she edits her podcast or podcast. So they're normally, they're not live. So it takes time. It takes time to do that, and especially when you want to make it perfect. And
not to mention doing more than one.
Yes.
Yeah.
She has several. And originally her brother was supposed to be on the show as well today, but unfortunately, because of the time we're doing it, her brother's still at work. So maybe later on down the road, we'll get them both up. Because I like her brother. Her brother seems very nice, and for the short time that I have spoken with him. So everyone, here is Haleigh Overseth.
Well, hi there. Good to be here with you, Bryan and Lex. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
That's the cheeriest intro to a guest we've ever had.
That's what I'm here for. I'm here to bring a little bit of the sparkle.
Yes.
That's what I'm all about.
Yeah,
I do
that's
appreciate.
I was hoping that. I was hoping that you would be bringing the sparkle, and I knew you would.
See, and that's what I do want to do with Parapost too. But I tell you, it's a bitch and a half when you got a 9 to 5 and you're running, 6-7 podcasts yourself and you want to start another one because I just can't slow down. I'm a Sagittarius fire sign and I just can't. Full speed ahead is the only speed I have. So I just have to do all the things. But
Yeah,
I'm with you on the overwhelm because I just got done moving into a new place and I'm still figuring out, selling my old house. And there's a snag that's come up with that too. But it's all right. I believe the universe can work it all out. It'll be fine. I believe the universe has podcast editing help for me somewhere. All of y'all in the comments, tell the peeps, bring me the things. We'll get it all done. And guess what? We'll have sparkle everywhere. And I'm so excited to bring the sparkle.
It's interesting you bring that up because I know you asked me not too long ago about if I knew somebody that might be able to edit your podcast. And I do know someone.
Well, hey, let
me reach out to that person.
Let's see if we can get a little I'm telling you, my thing is that I want to talk to people and I can get people and people and people on my podcast. I don't have a problem with that, but it's that the time crunch of getting it all out there and putting it all together. That's where I hit the snag, where I'm like, I need another 48 hours in my day is what I need. Because then I would be signing up for Global Ghost Hunt too. I'd be coming right up there and be like, Bryan, show me that church you told me is your favorite spot. I have to see it.
Yeah. So why don't we just let you go?
We'll just let you go. Go crazy. Take over the whole thing. All right, fine. Where's my crown? Let me just go ahead and just take the throne over. I will do that.
What part of the States are you from again?
I'm from South Dakota. So that's where that's where the sing song comes from.
It makes a lot more sense now because I find people that are down more in the south part of the States are real big talkers.
I haven't always necessarily been a real big talker because I was kind of, I grew up in a big family, modern family, and just had a lot of siblings. Obviously, you've met John. So, I think that kind of came later. I think some of it is that I spent a lot of my life not being able to get in a lot of words because I had a lot of siblings and I'm making up for it now. So that's why I need to have all the podcasts in the world because I have to get my word count in, for this incarnation that I am experiencing as a human on Earth. I must have a word count that I have to get to and I'm way behind. So that must be what's happening.
Well, challenge to somebody in the chat when you go back and rewatch this episode, do a word count for us. I want to know
yes. What's the percentage of the three of us? What's the percentage on words? I can spit out a lot of words. I would love it if somebody would do something. There's an AI something or other that'll count that for us. There has to be.
Has to be.
So you want to get started?
Absolutely. So first of all, Haleigh, thank you for coming on today. Obviously, I'm Lex, the British one. I don't talk that much, so.
And you should, because the accent is what draws people in from America. That's a true thing.
It is. It's very true.
It is. I sound glorious and.
Well,
royal.
You know what it is. I don't know where I saw it last night. I saw a show last night, and it was some kind of talk show or something like that. I can't recall what it was, but they were saying. Oh, I know what it was. I was listening to Legit Paranormal with Sarah and Mike's show last night, and they were talking about, the paranormal and people from the UK. When you're talking to somebody from the UK about the paranormal, it sounds more believable than somebody from North America just because of their accent.
I was going to say, you trust the accent more than you trust an American accent.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to say. Trust.
As the only American in the room right now, I get it. I understand. Okay. I don't blame you. I don't hold it against you. We're a hot mess over here. I get it.
There you go.
Oh,
well, it's true. So
you
go first.
Well, seeing as we have a history on this show of me putting Britain and England on a pedestal up here where we belong.
You are fully allowed. Yes, yep. I support you.
Any Americans in the chat that like to disagree with me? It's fine. Don't worry about it. So anyway, I want to get started. I would like you, please, Haleigh, to let our audience know a little bit about yourself. How long have you been doing podcasting? And what got you into it in the first place, other than trying to get a voice over your siblings?
Yeah. Well, actually, so the first podcast I started was my fictional podcast. So I write like sci-fi and fantasy short stories and paranormal area short stories. And I was like, what do I do with these? You know, I've published an ebook and I've got that on Amazon. I started doing and performing it as a podcast. So like I would write the episodes, I would perform it, I would put that out. And my brother, John, who I have a podcast with, Day of Fun, he was hanging out. He came down to visit me and go to like a music festival. We were hanging out and talking. And I was like, we need to start a podcast and just have fun having, you know, so we did. So we started a podcast. And then there's my Franki 411 podcast where I like to talk about, you know, consciousness and kind of the science and mixing science and spirituality, if you will, exploring human consciousness, and started meeting a lot of cool people on LinkedIn and various other places too. And bringing them on. And so it kind of just ballooned and went to a local. So I have No Small Stories is another one of my podcasts that I have. And we talk to, you know, entrepreneurs, artists, creative people who are doing indie work. And it started because I went to a brewery locally where I met this couple that I just thought like had the coolest story for their brewery and why they started it. And I was like, man, there's a lot of people out there who are doing really cool things, really awesome work, who have great stories that are super fascinating, who are great characters, and they need an outlet. And so that's part of why I do a lot of the podcasts I do too, is that there's really a lot of people doing very cool things. Like, you know, Bryan-jon's doing like so many awesome things with Parapost and Global Ghost Hunt. And I just think more people need to see that. You know, I think there is a thirst out there for alternative content. That is why podcasts are so popular, because mainstream content has gotten so sort of uniform, and I don't want to restrict it as the way I want to say it, but it's just not unique enough for what people are looking for anymore, I don't think. And so that's another reason why I do it too, is like, I am just as bored with mainstream entertainment as everyone else is. So if you don't have the mainstream entertainment isn't filling the void, you got to make your own entertainment. And so that's kind of what I started to do. And so I've started another podcast with a friend of mine, Sage the Intern, and we're doing like live Twitch stuff. I met her at my day job. So the one good thing about my day job is that I met Sage the Intern and we started a podcast. I'm 37. She's 22. There's no reason for us to have met, to be in the same sphere, to have conversations like we do about consciousness and weirdness and paranormal things, conspiracy theories, wild stuff that we just think is fun. And but here it is. I met her. So it's kind of like I said, I'm a Sagittarius. I'm a fire sign. I get real excited about stuff. So I will be careful. If you talk to me for too long, I might start a podcast with you. It might happen.
So how many is that? How many do you have?
I also just started another one. I did. So I have a friend that I met on LinkedIn, Jeff Walliner, who has made up a new sport called Tonger. And so we're doing a Tonger podcast about, go watch it. You have to watch it to understand it. It's fascinating, but it is in the realm of consciousness and multidimensional reality. And so that's kind of the point of the sport, is to experience multidimensional reality as a human a little bit more, in a more fun sort of way, I guess I would say. But go check that out. That's on my, you'll see that on my podcast channel on YouTube. That's links in the description for Franki's Podcast Network. But yeah, so right now I'm at 7, and I want to start another one with my uncle, and we're going to have arguments about spirituality and things like that, because he's like super Christian and I'm in the like, you know, universe sort of realm of reality. So we're going to have some little conversation. I'm like, I think we need to just have these conversations where we disagree with each other, but we still love each other and get along really well. And I think people need to see that. Like, we do not agree on what the fabric of reality actually is necessarily, but that's okay. We can still get along and have fun conversations together. Let's have a podcast that demonstrates that. So yeah, again, don't talk to me for too long. I will rope you into a podcast with me.
Well, it's funny because I was just sitting here thinking.
Yeah.
I have another podcast that I've been working on, or vodcast.
Okay.
I'm going to call it vodcast because it's video. It's not audio. So my other podcast that I wanted to start, and I was supposed to start it a couple of months ago, but it's been put on to the back burner. I was really interested. Well, I still am. I am going to do it eventually. It's called Beyond the Hauntings. And basically what it's about is I wanted to interview people that own haunted locations, not talking about the paranormal. Not talking about the paranormal. I want to talk about the history on why it's haunted, not who's there or what's there, on why it's haunted and why it's possibly haunted. And then my thought was to actually get the owners of that haunted location to either do it live or do it recording and do a walk through their location and showing different areas of the haunted spot. So this was more about finding out the history, why it's haunted, not what's there like spirit wise. So everything beyond the hauntings.
Right. Like what's this place about that might, so you can kind of do it. It's a little bit like the research element that you would do in your investigations, right? Like what's the backstory here? Why would we think it's haunted and how do you put the puzzle pieces together?
Yeah. But the key would be them sending a video of them doing a walkthrough, or we actually do it live with their
I like that because I know you talk about how like a lot of your stuff is to help, bring attention to the lesser known spots, right? To help keep them open and help, and that is very like cool and in the realm of historical preservation. So I think that's really awesome. I would watch it. I would, I'll get on the chats and ask questions if you're doing that stuff live.
And that's why I was thinking, maybe I need a female co-host.
Maybe you do. Maybe I will jump right on that with you. You don't have to ask me twice. I'm here for it. Let's do. Don't get me excited about it. I'll be messaging you all day, every day. I would
love to. I was going to originally ask Lex if he wanted to do it. But this guy is so busy. It's even a struggle for him to do one show a week. So I was going to ask him a few months ago if he wanted to do this other show, but I know he's got some life-changing things coming up and he's just not going to have any time, and he'll probably have a hard time.
You can come on over and guest host anytime once you're all settled. Don't worry about it.
There you go.
We're not like that. We share space.
So at least I know if I need a co-host, if Lex is not around for Through the Lens, I'm going to come right to Haleigh and ask
hit me up. Hit me up. I'm here.
If it's any consolation, Brian, I was going to tell you afterwards, I can't do next week's. So.
Well, hey, listen,
Haleigh,
hit me. I'm here. Are we doing this on a Tuesday? I'm down. I don't got nothing else going on a Tuesday. I'll be here. I'll be back.
And you know what? And I was going to ask Eli if he wanted to come up next week.
I would love to talk to Eli. Because I was fascinated already by the story when you were talking about that.
Yeah, it is a fascinating story. And it's very descriptive on what he went through when he died and what he saw and what he went through. And what's weird about that, it's not weird, his situation. What I find interesting is AJ's is a little bit similar to what Eli's is.
But
which I find really interesting.
But I love that about when you have people who have experiences like that or near-death experiences, that there is there's a lot of overlap or there's sort of common threads and common themes that you have, right? And I think that it helps you to build a body of evidence, if you will, right? For those out there who are skeptics or don't believe in these things. It gives you a body of evidence to support, like, hey man, there's more to this existence than just the physical world that we interact with on a day-to-day basis, right? Like there's a lot going on, I don't know if beneath the surface is the right way to say it, but there's more than just what we see and what we have always been told. I think, and your audience wouldn't be here if they didn't know that.
See, look at this right here.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you, friend. I'm here for it. I'm ready. Let's go.
I'm not sure who that is. If you could say your name, that would be great. So my question I wanted to ask is, because you have so many different podcasts and vodcasts, what's your process? what do you do when it comes to guests, the edit, what's your whole process when you're doing your podcast?
I would say that lucky is probably not the right way to say it. Guests just kind of happen upon me. Bill, what's up? Hey friend, how you doing? I appreciate your
That's Bill.
endorsement.
That's the one who said that comment.
I appreciate you. I kind of let the universe guide me a little bit, and the right people have come to me. Like I met you, and it was like the right person to meet and the right person to talk to, and that really does keep just happening. And I am like booked out into May with guests, so I don't have a shortage of guests or people interested. And so like that part of it seems to like flow really easily for me. I do the pre-recorded stuff. I got to figure out this live in this StreamYard like y'all two are doing, so I can get some pretty graphics and things like that. And I think the live might be a little bit easier, so I can just put on my intro, outro, and then pop that stuff on every platform that I'd be posting everything on. But I use like Descript to edit my stuff, and I use Captivate FM as like my platform that I distribute everything on. I put all my vlog stuff on YouTube, but then I do the audio as well for Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, all the other audio podcast places. So
and what was that site called? Sorry,
CaptivateFM.fm.
Okay.
And
have you ever heard of RSS? Have you ever heard of RSS?
Like the RSS feed, or
yeah.
Like I have those, and I've got that for like, but so Captivate FM has like built-in stuff for you can go find sponsorships, which I would be doing if I had more time.
Okay.
So isn't that kind of like the catch-22 of this whole thing? If you had more time to go find sponsored, you'd have more money to have the podcast editor to do more of the stuff, to make more content, to get more. It's like all the perpetual spinning wheels, right? Like there's always all that. You got all them plates that you got to be spinning and hanging on to.
Yeah. One thing I do like about the RSS feed, the actual site, you can put it up there, and then once it's in there, it goes up to all of them.
Yeah.
And it goes up to Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, it goes up to Apple, it goes everywhere.
And that's what Captivate does too. It just like auto distributes every time it populates.
But the difference between that and yours, they don't have that potential sponsors that you can look for and stuff like that. So that's interesting. Is there a monthly cost with Captivate?
Yeah, I did like the pay. I paid it like in a year in advance chunk or whatever, and it wasn't really that bad. I mean, I want to say it was less than like $300 for like a year's worth of being able to use it, which like I want to say it came out. I was using Spreaker, was the one that I was using, which has the same thing where it's got built-in ads, but the ads I didn't like the ads. I was not impressed with the ads that they had built in. And I like that you can kind of be more selective on Captivate FM. And they also don't have the same kind of space limitations or hour limitations that other sites have. So like you have unlimited podcasts that you can put out, and it is like it's I thought it was really reasonable. So, I think it's been working for me. I dig it. I got to get the guy who started it on my podcast too. I know I met some people on LinkedIn who know the guy who started Captivate FM, and I'm like, I got to get him on my podcast so I can talk to him about how he started that. So, but yeah, it's the process. I want to say it would be smoother if I had a little bit more time and maybe, an assistant, right? A little bit of extra help, but it's been going really well. I mean, I can't sit here and complain about it as much as I do. We all complain, even though.
I have a suggestion.
Hi.
There you go.
So you're using. Hey,
what's up, Nicole?
You're using.
No, but look what she said. Sorry, Lex. Look what Nicole said. She's retired. She has some time.
Well, hey, if you want to hit me up and find let's be friends. If you got some contact info, you can like get to Brian or find me on the Facebook, find me on the LinkedIn, find me on the anywhere. Haleigh Overseth.
Well, she's in the Parapost group chat.
Oh, well, hey, we'll just pop right up in there. I'll throw Haleigh Overseth at gmail.com, everywhere in the world. You can email me. Every person in the world send me an email. I have no problems with that.
There you go.
Woohoo! Yeah, I love it. What's up, Nicole? My new bestie in the world. But yeah,
I was just gonna say, I was like, you've got one sibling in a podcast with you. That means you've got how many spare that you could be using to do other stuff?
Well, they would have. I would have to. No, let me tell you what. I've tried to get my sister to do it. She's not in. I've got 3 other sisters and 4 other brothers. I have. Oh yeah, we got. I got half siblings, step siblings, full siblings. I got all the siblings. Very modern family. It's very, but no, I'd have to actually get them. Hey, oh, thank you, appreciate you. I would have to get
Raymond.
them.
Do you know Raymond?
I was gonna say, I think I've seen you in the chat, and I don't know if we have chatted directly back and forth. But hey,
Raymond's
hi friend,
always
how you doing?
on. Raymond's everywhere. I think he's sitting at home and he's got 15 screens going.
Oh, like he's the security camera guy of the podcast world. He's watching them all and he's paying attention.
Like I'll leave one podcast, I'll go to another podcast, and he's there.
I love it. He's just learned how to digitally bilocate, and that's fantastic. I think that's great.
Extremely helpful when you need an alibi. You're like, I was on a podcast. Ask Raymond.
Yeah.
he can tell you.
I like that. Raymond, I'm going to keep you in my back pocket if I need alibis. Like, let me tell you what. If I need to go get into some trouble, I'm going to keep you right in my back pocket. Now, I was hanging out with Raymond on a podcast. He'll tell you. I like it. I like having me an alibi ready to go.
Go ahead.
There you go, Raymond. Got you some work.
It doesn't sound like we're going to get many questions out. To be
honest. Listen, if I'm going to be co-hosting with you, everybody's going to have all the time in the world to get to know me, and I know you're all so excited about it. I know I am.
Well, there you go.
There we go.
Brings me on to this question. I like this one because I'm pretty sure it's going to be no. But
2 laptops.
2 laptops and a cell phone. Well done, Raymond. Do you? Oh, so I'm losing my voice now because I'm laughing too much. Hang on. So you have 7 or soon to be 7 podcasts on the go.
Soon to be 8.
Soon to be 8 now. Yeah. So 6 concurrently running.
I don't want to sit. Hey, what's up, Joanne? I don't want to sit here and say I'll probably have around dozen soon, but the way I roll, it probably will.
I reckon you'll have a dozen by the end of the show. So.
From your lips to the universe's ears, let's do it. I'm here for it, please, and thank you.
So in your time of doing up to 6, have you ever got your guests mixed up, or have you accidentally gone into the wrong show on the wrong day?
I have done this where I have said the wrong thing in the intro, right? And then I was just like, well, whatever. Guess what? Now it's that podcast. Doesn't matter. That's the podcast that's going to be on now. That's what I said. That's where it goes. Then you know what? Ain't nobody's complained or noticed, so it's fine. I'm not gonna worry about it. It is one of those things where it is a lot of moving parts and it's a lot to keep track of. So I have started doing. Luckily for me, I didn't think I would ever say this phrase about my experience in the administrative world and the administrative capacities I've had as day jobs. But lucky for me, I do have those skills because I know how to okay, now I need to label this differently and organize this differently. And this is how so I have the ability to do that, reorganize and adapt what I'm doing so that I can stay more on top of it and know who goes where and what is supposed to be for what. So I have hit those little snags a couple of times and I'm like, all right, that's okay. I just know on this back end when I'm getting myself set up for things, I just got to label this differently. So I have gone through that and found ways to correct it. Wow. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and say thanks, Lex. I never thought that I would find a reason to appreciate my day jobs, but now I do. So thank you for that. I appreciate you.
Because I've just thought of something really. Imagine you were doing a podcast on true crime and then you're also doing something for kids. Can you imagine if you got that wrong? It's like, well, you go.
That would be the most hilarious, awesomest thing ever, and I would just be so happy for that happy accident. Oh, that's a Bob Ross happy accident.
Hey, here's my guest, John Wayne Gacy, on my kids' channel.
Yep, that's right. Oh Lord, that's exactly who you want on.
Oh dear, that'd be crazy.
He entertain. You can listen. You can work that around and make that work. You can find a way to kind of PR spin that the right way. You can. That's probably exactly what I would do too. I would just find a way to spin it. You got to find a way to make it work in the moment. That's all you got.
Obviously, Haleigh's a very good talker.
See, right? I can't do it. I can talk. I have learned how to spin myself out of the things. So you know what? Again, customer service jobs probably helped me a little bit with that. So thank you again for giving me a little bit of, okay, universe, I understand why I had those jobs now. They have been useful to me. I won't sit here and complain so very much about them.
Yeah. Is with all your podcasts, how long have you been podcasting for?
So October of 2022 is when I started my fictional podcast. And before that, I had tried to do a couple of other podcasts with I had a friend that I did a podcast with for like a year before that, but it didn't work, had a falling out, kind of thing. I am just more excited about this whole podcast world and moving forward in it and really diving in. And so I have had previous projects. I tried to get my sister to do a podcast with me before that, and she did for a little bit, but same kind of thing where she just didn't, want to keep up with it, which is fine.
It's a real commitment.
It is, and
commitment.
not everybody is, that excited about it or as interested as I am in it. But again, I just that creative energy and that drive to explore and that's part of the thing that's so great about podcasts, right? Like, and probably why we like it. The idea of like paranormal investigations and the exploration and discovery element. There is that exploration element in podcasts. You get to meet all these awesome people who are working on amazing projects. You learn about all these different projects that you're not going to see in the mainstream, and you're not going to get these different kinds of perspectives from these different people, especially like when I'm talking about, on my Franki 411 podcast, when I talk to people in spirituality and wellness and consciousness realms. It's not what you're going to see on CNN. Right. And I think that's the really beautiful thing about it, is so much more interesting and unique than the things that are on the mainstream, media outlets. And so you get to it really is kind of like hands-on sort of learning and meeting these new really awesome people. And I love that exploration element of podcasting. And that's part of what I just get so excited about it. I just get so excited about learning so many more things and meeting all these awesome people.
And the reason I asked that is because, is there a moment during your time that you've done your many different shows, that is there a moment that really stands out to you and you go, wow, that was a really, really good show, or that was a really, really inspiring moment, or something that stands out that you go, oh my God, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? Like, is there something that really stands out for you?
So I
hint. Nothing, meaning that my show a couple of weeks ago. It's not
obviously it's not up there yet because I haven't edited it yet. But
no, it's not in the top 5 of your memorable moments, is what I'm
going to say. So this is one of those, the universe just sort of organized things for me. Yeah. I had kind of just started doing my No Small Stories podcast, and I was just I was kind of in this space of like, I was doing some interview stuff and bringing people on, and I was kind of like, is this the right direction for me to go? Am I doing the right thing by doing this? I like it, but should I keep going with it? And then my brother John and I ended up getting Mark Christopher Lawrence to be on No Small Stories. I don't know if you've seen that. Mark Christopher Lawrence was in the show Chuck. I don't know if you remember him. He was Big Mike, the boss in the show Chuck. And like a very impressive IMDb page, resume. And I was just like, this is insane that we got like legit actor comedian guy to come on my podcast. And it was such a thing where it was like, okay, I can do this. Like if I can talk to somebody who is in the entertainment industry like that at that level and keep doing this, like I can do this. Like I can keep meeting new people and doing these things. So I think for me, that was a catalyst in the sense of telling me to keep going, right? Like keep going, keep doing this. It's not an impossible thing for you to be able to make something out of this, for you to be able to make this the thing that you do because you do love it, right? And I think that, and that's a big thing that I talk about on a lot of my podcasts, and I know Brian and I have had conversations about it, that people following their passion and their highest joy is such a big thing for me, because I do believe it's what we're all supposed to be doing, right? I do believe the things that you love to do are the things that you are meant to do, and what you are passionate about, that is your role in the human ecosystem. You are meant to fulfill that role. Like whatever it is that you love to do, it's because that's your best self and the best version of you that can add the most value to society, to the collective consciousness, right? So for me, that was kind of like a kick to say, hey, no, you're on the right path. Keep going. You're doing fine. Like, don't do the self-doubt thing. You can do this. And how many of us have that going on? Even now in the overwhelm, Brian, I know you got to be feeling that too, where you have those moments of, I mean, I can't quit because I love it too much, but hot dang, sometimes you get that voice in your head that questions things. And so, it's sometimes you got to dig deep and find the drive to keep going. But
And it's hard, eh? Sometimes I got the UK videos that I did, the paranormal investigations I did
right.
to edit and others to edit, and I think I got about 20 to edit,
Mhm.
and it's finding that motivation, because I'll be
Right.
honest, like what I've seen recently, lately in the paranormal field, and I'm sure everybody that's watching can agree, there's been a lot of, sorry for saying this, there's a lot of shit going on.
Oh,
And
there's
it's
loads.
negative shit. And like I look at it and go, God, I see all this crap all the time, and it's very, very difficult to get inspired to go out there and do those videos when you're going, okay, well, I'm going to go to Facebook, or I'm going to go to Twitter, or I'm going to go somewhere. Who's going to be fighting with who? And who's upset with who, or what location's
Right.
upset with another. It's like, it seems like it's never ending,
The
and it's
drama element,
hard.
right?
Yeah, it's hard to get inspired when you seeing it all the time, and
I
it's
see,
like,
but I feel you where you're at with that. I really do. And I think that's that's part of why we keep doing what we do, because
yeah.
we want to create that space. We want to create that space where it is something that's fun. It's something where you get to come together because you enjoy the same things. You don't have to, you don't have to agree on everything. You don't have to agree on all the different aspects of, whatever it is they're arguing about. Like, but you're
Mm.
all interested in the paranormal, right? Like, bond over that and let that be the thing that you bond over, and find the ways to have fun with it. And that's definitely the kind of space that I'm trying to create with all my podcasts, right? Like the creative space, the fun space, the safe space where everybody is welcome and everybody is included, right? You don't have to agree with people. Diversity is the thing that makes the human ecosystem thrive. We're supposed to be different. We're supposed to have different opinions and different interests. That's what keeps the game going, right? Like
Mm.
if we all agreed on everything, we would all stop evolving. That's the truth.
That would just
So,
revert back to being chimps.
right? Exactly. So it's,
Not a
I
bad
think,
thought, actually.
No.
I mean, I think some people do. Some people choose that, right? And that's
Mhm.
perfectly fine. That's valid. But I do think that's part of why I do what I do as well, because it's, again, that idea of if it doesn't exist already for you to approach it, well, then you just have to create your own. And so that's what we're doing. You create your own space.
And I
Yeah.
agree, and I agree with what Raymond says
Yeah,
here.
Raymond, I
But
was gonna
you
say.
know what? Sometimes, it's hard. It's hard to ignore it. Sometimes and especially for me personally, and I've been through, and Lex knows and Raymond knows what I've been through, especially over the last, I would say even 5 months, 6 months. A lot of people saying a lot of nasty things about me that are just not true. And I guess the real um the real upsetting thing, or the real thing that takes me away from sitting down and going through those videos and editing them and then sharing them with people that I care and I love, and I know that are going to appreciate the video. um it's
It's
sometimes
the
it's
Erica
very,
Badu
very,
thing.
yeah, it's sometimes
It's
very, very difficult. And you know what, I've never been a type of person that will go up on the air and bash someone publicly. That's
mhm.
just not who I am as a person. I think I've done it once or twice. I did it once with Lex. I did it once, but normally with me, I don't publicly shame people. I shame them privately. No, I'm just kidding.
Shame them privately. I go into the
No,
astral realm and I get up into your shit and start throwing
no,
rocks. That's what
but
I do.
sometimes it's very, very difficult to ignore,
Well,
and
we're
as much as I'd
conditioned.
love to.
It's the society that we live in, and that's part of it, right? Like, we're conditioned to believe that the internet is this place full of ugliness and bullies and cyberbullying, right? Because that's what, again, the mainstream wants to focus on, is all the negativity, and that's what we're trained as people to do. We're trained to focus on negativity. We're trained to believe in the anxiety. We're trained to believe in the bad things. We're trained to believe that the things that people say about us that are awful are the more true things, instead of being trained to ignore it and to look at the good aspects of things. Like, it's just not where the conditioning is, which is,
Yeah,
again, that's why you have to create the space and
yeah.
create that environment.
And I agree with you, because there was something that happened on a show last week, that, these people came on and were saying some very um, I don't even know how to describe it, bad things, hurtful things, whatever it was,
Mhm.
things that basically weren't true. They were true for them, but not necessarily for the other people. And what amazes me the most, and I'm sure you've seen this, Haleigh, is when there is something going on that's very negative, the numbers in your podcast in the live will grow like no tomorrow. But when it's
Well, and
something
it's a little,
positive,
it's the
the numbers,
algorithm thing, right?
so
Because that's where it's kind of trained to.
yeah,
But I do believe that we can create a space where that is not the truth, and where it's more positive and more of a safe space, because people are looking for it. And I do believe
yeah,
that people will find it. And
yeah.
I think, for me, another aspect of that, though, is having been a person who has been in negativity consciousness a little bit, and anger and resentment and those things. I understand that where those things come from when people start doing things like that, if they're spouting something about you that's not true, if they're being negative, if they're being harmful or hurtful, it comes from a place of pain within themselves, right? And so I have learned in a lot of ways to let it go and just say, listen, I know who I am, and I
Oh
know
yeah,
that I'm a good person, and
yeah,
I don't need to engage. But I recognize that I have been through things myself and in my own life where, yeah, you do sometimes lash out, and you come from that place of the pain and the trauma that you have. And so I recognize, and I can look at those things and say, whatever is going on, whatever that person just said about me, it's not about me. And that's the thing to remember, right? Whatever someone else says about you is always, always, always says more about them than it does about you,
yeah. It's true.
right?
It's
It's
true.
more about where they're at.
Yeah, it's true. And I'm again, all that stuff went on, all that crap went on, and people kept on asking me, why aren't you saying something? Why do I need to? Why
You
do I
don't.
need to say anything?
You
And
don't
that's why
need
I
to
never
engage.
did. I never did.
You,
I never went up. I never did anything, because that's not who I am as a person.
and you
And
don't and you don't have to engage with that. And
no,
that's the thing with a lot of that too, is that when you engage with it, you just give it more attention, and you're fueling the fire, right?
exactly.
Just don't engage with it. And, again, coming from that place of like, hey, man, listen, whatever you need to work on that are dealing with that's making you lash out at somebody, that's your business. If reach out if you need help. I'm be happy to talk to you. But if you can't, then hey, I get that too, because I've been in that space too. And,
Yeah.
I mean, who among us hasn't been in that space? We all went through a global
Oh
pandemic
yeah.
together. I mean, we understand that. You can just when you get into like a fear consciousness space or a painful consciousness space, you do say and do things that are not in your truest nature, right? And I do
Mm,
believe that. I believe that we all, at our truest nature, is to be good, loving beings. I really do believe that. I know people don't like to, but I do. And
mm,
and anybody who isn't, it comes from somewhere. It comes from
yeah.
something. It comes from whatever kind of experience they had. And you can't know somebody's story or their background or what kind of situation they are dealing with internally that might make them say the things they say that are harmful or hurtful to somebody else. And I think, again, that is such an important thing that needs to be created, is that space where we can be more compassionate with people, and that space where we can be more open with, where is this really coming from? Am I really upset about this or that person? Or is there something that maybe I need to deal with internally that I'm trying to avoid or ignore? And I
I
just,
agree.
yeah,
I agree. I agree. Lex?
I was gonna say, I mean, the opposite's true for me. I enjoy being in that realm because
no,
I'm bulletproof. Nothing hurts me. I don't care what anyone says about it. I'm like, bing, bing.
But listen, that is also valid, and you need people like that too. Again, diversity is what makes the human ecosystem thrive, and you got to have the people like that who can like take it and throw it back and be just fine with it, right?
Hey,
Like,
listen, when I was saying what I sorry, Haleigh, when I was saying what I was saying, like if anybody goes to my Facebook page, at the top of my Facebook page in my profile, I have and I say this a lot, I have Dana White there, and he basically says that I don't give a fuck what people say about me. And I'm at that point. I don't care what people say about me anymore. At the end of the day, people are going to talk, they're going to say crap,
right?
And it makes them feel better. There's nothing I can do to control that.
Right.
What I can control is my reaction.
Right.
And my reaction is no reaction.
And there's nothing wrong with that too.
Yeah.
Well, there's a really good quote I like, and I can't remember who it is. And it's a quote I use, and it's if you have a problem with me, text me. If you don't have my number, then you don't know me well enough to have a problem with me.
I love that.
I heard that from
absolutely
somewhere.
true.
It's one of my favorite quotes, and I live by that. So that's why I don't care. I'm like,
If you don't have my number, you know what? Some people who do have my number still don't know me well enough to say for me to care. So,
but I like it. It's good.
I love that. While we're doing fun little quotes, one of my favorite little ones that I found this in a little note in it while I was moving in a book of my grandma's, and I can't remember who said it, but they said, and this is on brand for y'all, there's so much clarity in murder. You don't have to wonder if somebody likes you. They don't. Like, yeah, this is true. Somebody goes to murder you, you know they don't like you.
Well, if we're going to have quotes here, my favorite quote is, and I say it all the time to myself, is don't let yesterday use up today.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. That's a very true thing. Yeah, because the here and now is all you have. You got to work with what you got from where you are.
Exactly.
That's very true.
With all your, I always want to say vodcasts, but I know because yours are mostly podcasts. With all of your podcasts,
I do. I record all of them, video, and post them on YouTube video, and then audio.
Okay.
So cool. I just double up and do all of it because again, I can't sit still.
With all your shows,
there we go.
There you go.
There we are.
With all your shows, and I asked this to Tanner last week or the week before, and I'm going to ask you the exact same question. If somebody's looking to start a vodcast or a podcast, what advice would you give them?
I would say do it, jump on it, get on it, and like listen. All you got to do is get on the YouTube and do a little bit of searching, and somebody will show you how to do it. Call me, get me on the Facebooks. I will tell you how to do it. I will show you how to do it. Jump out there and do it. Don't be scared. Listen. There is such a thing in this world as good enough, and imperfect is just perfectly fine. You don't have to be polished and perfect to get started. You just got to get started and just do it. Everything is just taking that first step. It's like Martin Luther King, right? If we're going with the quotes, you don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. So if you are out there and you have the slightest thought that you want to start a podcast, I say jump on it. Even if you don't have somebody to do it with, sit and record yourself and talk, and then just watch yourself and just see what you think. Just do it just to try it, just to do it. It's so much fun. And if you have, again, follow your highest joy and follow your passion. If you have an interest in something, there is a reason you have an interest in it. And if it doesn't turn into you becoming a podcaster, if it turns into something else that you didn't know you would like better, or you don't know, right? That's why you got to take that first step, because when you step into that unknown space, all kinds of new possibilities open up to you. And even if this path that you're on and where you are right now in this step is not the path that you're going to continue on, you don't know what things it could lead to, and the next new thing that could come to you that could be the most brilliant, miraculous, magical thing in your life that you've ever had. You just never know. So take that step and do it, because the magic could be there if you just go look. How's that?
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And I was going to say as well, I was going to add to that as well. Like, when you don't have to plan for everything.
You don't.
To do one more quote on my end, my last quote.
Let's do it.
Preparation can only take you so far. After that, you have to take a few leaps of faith.
You absolutely do. That is 100% true.
Jesus. I think I will do a whole show on quotes.
This is a wisdom podcast.
It is. This can know. Yeah,
there's a new podcast right there. Quotes.
Yes.
Just call it quotes.
Quotes. Oh, don't tempt me to start another podcast. I will do it.
Number 9. There we go. I told you.
Right?
12 by the end. 12 by the
12
end.
by the end. It could be 12 quotes, right? You could have like every episode you do 12 quotes. We could do that. A dozen quotes.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking after this. Bryan-jon, Lex, we're all gonna be talking after this. What podcast are we starting?
Oh,
Quote.
dear.
It's called
Well,
quote.
that leads
love
me on
it.
to another question. So touching on the advice of getting people into doing podcasting, there's a thing going around. I've seen a lot of people say this on comment sections and stuff, where they say there's too many podcasts.
No, there's no such thing as too
So
many
how do you
podcasts.
respond to that?
I'm
as
going to tell
someone
you
who-
how I respond to that. Everything that is out there and available is absolutely necessary, because here's the whole thing about it. Whatever you have to say because there is somebody out there who is looking for your voice specifically. Like there are, I talk about this on my other podcasts a little bit, like the idea of, think about like spiritual gurus, right? If you want to just go in that realm, Abraham Hicks channeling, Esther Hicks, who channels Abraham, or Alan Watts, Neville Goddard, Joe Dispenza, who does work in like the consciousness realm. All these people that are telling you these different things, that they're all saying essentially the same thing. Why are there so many people who need to say the same thing? Because different people respond to people differently. Just like someone can tell you a message, give you advice, but if you can't hear it from that person for whatever reason, you're not going to take that advice. If it's not someone you trust, you're not going to take that advice. There needs to be all these podcasts and all these people out there because someone is looking for your voice, and you never know when that person is going to find you or when that audience is going to find you. And there's room for everyone. I believe that 100%. There's room for everyone to thrive. There's room for everyone to succeed. I mean, I watch and listen to plenty of other podcasts too. It's not, so it's like, there's not a limit for me on how many podcasts I want to watch. So why should there be a limit on how many podcasts there should be? There's enough room for everybody to get out there and have an audience. I mean, there's billions of people on this planet. Like, how can there not be audiences for all the podcasts that there are, and plenty of room for more? I absolutely there's never going to be too many podcasts, because there's a reason that everyone has something to say. It's because there's someone out there who's going to trust what you have to say. And you never know when the thing you say is going to lead somebody else to take the next step, to do the next thing that will be, they create the cure for cancer, the next new energy source that is affordable forever. You never know. You never know. Right. You never know. You never know when the thing you say is going to spark somebody else to do something amazing. So go out there and do it and put your content out there, because you could be inspiring somebody to do something. And why would you take that away from the world? Why would you, if you have a gift, why would you keep it from the world?
Well said.
So thank you for the question.
Yeah, definitely. Well, our time is up.
I have so very much enjoyed this. This has been great. I can't wait to co-host with you. I can't wait to start new podcasts. Nicole, hit me up. Come and find me. I would love to chat with you if you would be willing to help me do some editing. That would be marvelous. This has been great.
I think Haleigh needs a drink of water. But we'll see you. We'll definitely see you next week as my co-host next week. Hopefully Eli can come up, and if it doesn't, I will have someone else coming up. So, and that will be perfect. So this is your replacement for next week, Lex. I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good.
Lex,
I've had some good ones, but this one's pretty good. This one's good.
Don't take any offense. You still have the better accent.
Well, that's a given. That is a given.
You still have that going.
I have the accent, and you guys stole my language. So
wow.
It's called English, not American, isn't it? So
this is true. That is fair. Well, you can have it. You can have it all day long.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you for coming up on today's show. We're definitely going to see you next week.
Yes.
We'll talk more before we bring up Eli. Eli's story is really, really super cool.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
I'm looking forward to having him up.
I'm bummed that I can't be. I'll be listening to it live though, so I'll be listening while I'm away.
Cool.
Hit us up in the chat.
I got a strange feeling Haleigh's probably going to take over the show as the host, and I will just sit here and look pretty. How about that?
Brian? You should check. We should make a mock-up intro of just pictures of Haleigh. People would be so confused. What's this intro?
John, we got to have eye candy just as much as we got to have a talker. So you can sit there and look pretty is perfectly acceptable.
Nice.
That's awesome. Anyways, I want to thank you for coming up on today's show.
Thank you for
It was
having me.
really a lot of fun talking to you, and I look forward to having you next week, like I said. So I'm going to say my goodbyes. Lex?
Yeah, as I say, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure, and it's great to meet you. And I can't wait to see what you do going forward, and how I can't wait to see how many podcasts you end up doing. I mean, I'm bewildered on 6, so
I
I
mean,
can't wait.
listen, I was born the year of Haley's Comet. Haley's Comet comes around every 76 years. I think I need to build
Thanks,
myself
Bill.
up to 76 podcasts, and then we'll be good.
There you go.
Well,
Hey,
good
thanks,
good
Bill.
luck on that.
Appreciate you.
Good luck on that.
And
But
there's Nicole.
Nicole,
Go ahead,
hit me
Lex.
up,
Go ahead,
Bessie.
Lex.
Lovely. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So I wish you a lot of good luck on the future ones, and have fun on the show next week.
Oh, I will.
Like I said, I'll be listening. But I can't.
We'll be calling you out, so you better be ready to hit us up in the chat.
No, I will do. I'll send a thumbs up in there. I'll send
There
a
we
UK
go.
flag. There you go. English
I
flag.
like it. There we go. That's what we need.
But other than that, I want you to take a good rest of the day, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I have loved this. This has been great.
And just sit in the back for a few minutes, and we'll be there. We'll be there shortly.
All right.
Okay. There you go, Haleigh. Wow.
I mean,
That girl had
I
already knew that though, because
Yeah.
when I did the show with her a few weeks ago, when she was interviewing me with her brother, she did most of the talking.
Well, I was gonna say, you've met me in person, Brian. I thought I could talk for England.
Yeah.
But Jesus, I mean, she can definitely talk. But it's entertaining when she does. So it's not
Yeah,
like she's
very,
talking.
very.
She's not talking you to death, which is
You
great.
know what? I have to be honest. I've only known Haleigh probably for 3 or 4 months, and I already feel like I've known her for like 5 years. She's really, really a down to earth individual, and she has a lot of good things to say. Her shows are really, really good. You should really check them out. The links are in the description below, and go over and give her a follow, and show her some love, and tell her where you saw her from. Tell her you saw her from Through the Lens. And she's also on LinkedIn. I know she's on LinkedIn a lot. So you definitely, if you're on LinkedIn, you want to go over to LinkedIn, because that's where she spends most of her time. So, and that's where I met her.
That's a crazy way of meeting people as well on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Well, have you been on LinkedIn recently?
Yeah, because I use it for work.
LinkedIn has completely changed to what it was like 3 years ago. 3 years ago, it was just a job site, and that was it. Now it's turning into like a job site along with Facebook. It's like a little bit of Instagram and a little bit of Twitter X.
Professional Facebook, it looks like, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, and the great thing is our shows go up on LinkedIn. I don't know if you know that, Lex.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's up on LinkedIn right now, actually. So hi to everybody on LinkedIn. And
hello.
Yeah, and also hi to everybody that's listening to us. We had some good downloads last week from last week's show, and I got a strange feeling we're going to have a lot of downloads for this one, and especially with our guest. And but I want to say thank you to everybody that came and watched our show. We had quite a few people in the room this week, and obviously thank you for coming and watching our show. So I am going to say my goodbyes until next week, next Tuesday. We'll probably be around the same time at 6, because obviously Haleigh works during the day. So we'll probably be up at 6 o'clock again next week. Okay. Lex?
Look at that lovely silence. What?
There's a little bit of awkward silence there.
I'm sorry to the audio listeners for that. But that was what I want to say. Another phenomenal show again today, and thank you so much to Haleigh for coming on. And again, I'm bummed I'm not going to be able to be here next week, but I can't wait to listen to it. So I hope you guys all have fun without me. But also thank you for the chat, for coming in. Thank you, Nicole, Raymond, obviously, Eli. Thank you for coming in. That was a great shock. Bill, yourself, and anyone else who commented, thank you for that as well. Your support means the world to us. So if you haven't already, before you click out of this video or shut it down, just share it out for everyone for replays. But thank you for joining us. And I won't see you next week, but Brian will. But I'll see you after that. But thank you very much.